When you walk away, his mind doesn't go silent. It erupts. A storm of emotions, regrets, and unanswered questions rushes in louder than he ever expected. At first, he may act like it doesn't matter, like he's unaffected, but deep inside, something shifts. The comfort of knowing you were always there is suddenly gone. And now, he's left with nothing but echoes of the words he never said and the weight of the moments he took for granted. He replays your last conversation, searching for signs he missed. Did he push you away? Was he not enough? Or worse, was he too much? The silence after you leave is deafening, and for the first time, he's forced to face emotions he's been avoiding. And here's what might surprise you: what he thinks in that moment isn't always what he shows. There's more happening beneath the surface than you realize. In this video, you'll uncover the hidden thoughts, the unspoken feelings, and the truth about what really goes on in his mind when you finally decide to walk away. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to hear might change the way you see everything. At first, it doesn't feel real. The words were spoken, the decision was made, but something inside him refuses to believe it. His mind rejects the reality unfolding in front of him, as if it's just a temporary fight, a misunderstanding that will pass. The weight of what's happening hasn't fully hit yet, so he tells himself there's still time. Maybe by tomorrow, everything will go back to normal. Maybe you'll call. Maybe you didn't really mean it. The thought of a world where you're no longer his doesn't fit into the version of life he knows, so he clings to the idea that this is just a bad moment, not the end. Denial isn't always loud. Sometimes it's in the way he keeps his routine the same, refusing to let the loss sink in. He checks his phone, half expecting a message. He leaves space in his schedule, as if a last-minute plan with you will still happen. There's a quiet war in his head-on side, desperately trying to accept the truth, the other searching for reasons to dismiss it. If he doesn't fully acknowledge the loss, maybe it won't hurt as much. But no matter how much he tries to push the truth away, there's an emptiness creeping in. Shock makes him act in ways he doesn't even recognize. Some moments, there's a strange sense of calm, almost as if nothing happened. Then, without warning, the reality punches through, stealing the air from his lungs. He replays the last conversation over and over, picking apart every word. Could he have said something different? Could he have stopped this? The mind scrambles for a loophole, a way to undo what has already been done. This is the stage where mistakes are met at desperate texts, late night calls, sudden promises to change. Not because he's truly processed what went wrong, but because his mind is still rejecting the fact that it's already over. Even if the relationship had problems, even if deep down he saw this coming, the finality of it is something he wasn't prepared for. The silence after you walk away is louder than any argument, any goodbye. And in that silence, the first cracks of reality begin to form. Nothing makes sense anymore. Yesterday, everything felt normal. Today, there's a sudden emptiness where something familiar used to be. The mind starts racing, searching for answers. But the more questions it asks, the fewer answers it finds. What went wrong? Was it something obvious, or was it something so small that it went unnoticed until it was too late? Every conversation, every moment, every little shift in tone or energy now feels like a clue to a puzzle that was never solved. Thoughts come in waves, unpredictable and relentless. One moment, there's anger blaming the situation, blaming you, blaming circumstances. The next, doubt takes over. Maybe it wasn't about something big. Maybe it was the small things. Maybe the words that seemed harmless at the time actually carried more weight than they appeared to. Maybe the things left unsaid mattered more than the ones spoken out loud. This is where the mind becomes its own worst enemy, replaying everything on a loop, looking for signs that were missed, warnings that went unnoticed. Questions turn inward. Was it something that could have been fixed? Was it even possible to fix? If only things had been different, if only there had been more effort, more time, more awareness. And then comes the hardest question of all. Was I not enough? The thought creeps in, slow at first, then stronger with each passing hour. Maybe there was something missing. Maybe someone else could have done better. Maybe it was never going to last, no matter how much effort was put in. Self-doubt grows like a shadow, stretching further than expected, touching parts of the mind that were once untouched. Memories become both a source of comfort and pain. Looking back, everything feels clearer, but at the same time, more confusing. If the good moments were real, then how did it all fall apart? If the connection was strong, why wasn't it enough to hold things together? The search for answers turns into a spiral, one that doesn't have an easy way out. And in the middle of it all, one thought lingers longer than the rest. What if this is all my fault? A strange feeling starts creeping in, one that wasn't there before. At first, it's just a passing thought, easy to ignore. But then it grows, twisting itself around every other emotion. Who is she with? What is she doing? Is someone else already stepping into the space that used to be his? Logic says it doesn't matter anymore, but emotions don't follow logic. Suddenly, the idea of her moving on, smiling at someone else, sharing inside jokes with another persona, it's unbearable. Possessiveness doesn't always show itself in obvious ways. Sometimes it's in the way he checks his phone more than usual, waiting for a sign that she's still thinking about him. Other times, it's in the silent battle of resisting the urge to ask mutual friends if they've seen her. The mind plays cruel tricks, creating scenarios that may not even be real. Every unanswered text, every social media update, every small detail that once felt meaningless now carries a different weight. Was she this happy before? Is someone else making her feel that way now? Jealousy has a way of rewriting memories. Moments that once felt secure now feel threatened. The compliments she gave to a coworker, the times she laughed a little too much at someone else's jokes, the casual conversations with strangers, things that never seemed important now feel like signs that were ignored. Maybe there was always someone waiting in the background. Maybe she was already slipping away before she even left. The thoughts keep coming, each one more exhausting than the last. A battle begins between pride and emotion. Reaching out feels weak, but silence feels worse. Letting go seems like the right thing to do, but the fear of being replaced makes it nearly impossible. Even if the relationship had its problems, even if the breakup was inevitable, the idea of someone else stepping in too soon is a different kind of pain. It's no longer just about missing her. Now, it's about the fear that she's already stopped missing him. A sudden urgency takes over. The thought of losing her completely is no longer just painful, it's unacceptable. Maybe it's not too late. Maybe there's still a way to fix things, to take back the words that shouldn't have been said, to undo the damage that led to this moment. Panic and hope mixed together, pushing him to act. He starts thinking of all the ways he can make it right, all the things he should have done sooner. Messages are sent, some long and emotional, others short and uncertain. If she doesn't reply, another one follows, then another. It doesn't matter if she asked for space. Waiting in silence feels like giving up, and giving up isn't an option. If words aren't enough, maybe actions will be. Suddenly, promises come easily. Promises to listen more, to change, to be better. Every mistake is now clear, every flaw exposed, and he's willing to fix all of them if it means another chance. Guilt plays a powerful role. If she walked away because of something he did, the need to make things right becomes overwhelming. Maybe she was right all along. Maybe he didn't appreciate her enough, didn't show up in the ways he should have. Regret fuels the desperation, making it impossible to think about anything else. Nothing feels more important than proving to her that things can be different. Even if she doesn't respond, the effort doesn't stop. Old memories become weapons in the fight to win her back, reminders of the good times, the love they shared, the moments that were too real to just disappear. If she could just see how much she still means to him, maybe she'd change her mind. Maybe she just needs to be reminded of what they had. There's no single approach. Some choose grand gestures, unexpected visits, public declarations of love. Others take a quieter route, slowly reaching out, hoping consistency will rebuild what was lost. Every action, every word is driven by the same fear, the fear that if nothing is done, she'll be gone for good. Silence fills the spaces where her voice used to be. The world feels the same, but nothing about it feels right anymore. The little things hurt the most, the way her favorite song plays in a store, the empty side of the bed, the quiet that lingers in conversations that used to be full of laughter. Even the things that were once personal, like a morning routine or a late night habit, now feel incomplete. It's not just about missing her, it's about the absence of everything she brought with her. The nights are the hardest. The distractions of the day can keep the mind busy for a while. But when the world slows down, loneliness settles in. Reaching for the phone becomes second nature, even when there's no reason to expect a message. Scrolling through old texts, listening to voice notes, replaying memories that feel both comforting and cruel. It's not just about wanting her back, it's about trying to hold on to something that already feels like it's slipping away. Loneliness has a way of distorting time. Days drag on endlessly, yet weeks pass in a blur. The idea of moving forward feels impossible, but staying in the past isn't an option either. The people around him may offer support, but their words don't fill the void. They say things will get better, that time will heal, but right now, it doesn't feel that way. Right now, every reminder of her presence only highlights her absence. Even the mind turns against itself, creating moments that aren't real. Hearing her voice in a crowd, catching a glimpse of someone with the same hair, feeling her presence in places she used to be. The heart wants to believe it's temporary, that one day she'll walk back through the door like nothing happened. But deep down, a different reality is settling in none where she isn't coming back and where the spaces she left behind aren't going to be filled so easily. Everything feels like a contradiction. One moment, the need to reach out is overwhelming, stronger than pride, stronger than logic. The next, stubbornness takes over, forcing silence even when every part of him wants to say something. Thoughts swing between extremes one day, believing she'll come back, the next, convincing himself he doesn't care. This back and forth becomes a cycle, exhausting but impossible to break. Messages are typed and deleted. Some get sent, only to be followed by regret seconds later. Some are vague, testing the waters, hoping for any kind of response. Others are emotional, pouring out thoughts that should have been spoken long before things fell apart. If she answers, relief washes over him, but it's short lived. What now? Act indifferent or be honest? Push her away or pull her closer? The fear of saying too much fights against the fear of not saying enough. Even when silence is chosen, it's not real. Watching from a distance, checking her social media, asking mutual friends about her staying disconnected without truly letting go. If she seems fine, it stings. If she seems sad, it raises hope. Either way, confusion deepens. Was the relationship as important to her as it was to him? Did she move on, or is she waiting just like he is? The mixed signals aren't just for her, they're for himself too. Going out with friends, pretending everything is fine, maybe even showing interest in someone new. But the moment she reaches out, all of it fades. Plans to move on suddenly don't matter. The second there's even a small opening, it feels like proof that she hasn't let go completely. And just like that, the cycle resets. It's not always about wanting her back. Sometimes it's just about wanting to feel something other than emptiness. Even if the connection is broken, even if the relationship is beyond repair, the idea of completely losing her still feels impossible to accept. So he lingers between moving forward and holding on, never fully choosing either, caught between the past and a future he isn't ready to face. At first, the focus was on what she did, how she left, what she said, whether she truly meant it. But as time passes, the questions start shifting. The anger fades, the blame quiets down, and a different kind of discomfort settles in. It's no longer just about what went wrong. Now it's about the role he played in all of it. The things he didn't see, the things he didn't say, the moments he thought were small, but looking back were probably everything. Patterns start becoming clearer. The times he brushed off her feelings, thinking they weren't that serious, the times she tried to talk, but he didn't listen the way he should have. The ways he showed love, assuming they were enough, without realizing she needed something different. Maybe it wasn't one big mistake that led to the end. Maybe it was 100 little ones that slowly built up until there was nothing left to hold on to. Regret hits differently when there's no way to fix it. There's no chance to explain, no way to undo what's already done. Sitting with that truth is uncomfortable, but there's no running from it. The realization sinks in this isn't just about losing her, it's about the parts of himself that need to change. The version of him that existed in that relationship wasn't enough to make it last. That doesn't mean he wasn't worthy of love, but it does mean there's work to be done. Slowly, the need to prove something to her fades and the focus turns inward. Growth doesn't happen overnight, but awareness is the first step. Paying attention to the way he reacts to things, the way he communicates, the way he handles emotions, these things start to matter in a way they never did before. Not just for her, not for the sake of getting her back, but for himself. Because if nothing changes, history will repeat itself. And no matter how painful the loss was, the thought of making the same mistakes again is even worse. One day, the weight isn't as heavy. The thoughts still come, but they don't stay as long. The past doesn't disappear, but it stops controlling the present. There's no exact moment when it happened, just a slow shift, a quiet realization that life is moving forward, whether or not he's ready. And maybe for the first time, he is. The urge to check in on her fades. The questions about where she is and what she's doing don't matter the way they used to. The need to prove something, to fix what was broken, is replaced by something else: acceptance, not just of the breakup, but of everything that led to it. The mistakes, the lessons, the things that can't be changed. Fighting against reality took too much energy. Letting go is the only thing left to do. New routines start to form. At first, it feels forced: going to the gym, focusing on work, spending time with friends, but eventually these things become more than just distractions. They become his life, and instead of trying to fill the space she left behind, he starts creating something new. The emptiness that once felt unbearable now feels like an open road, full of possibilities he couldn't see before. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. She was important. What they had was real. But not every love story is meant to last forever. Some people come into life to teach something, to change something, to leave a mark that never fully fades, and that's okay. Growth comes from loss just as much as it comes from love. The idea of a future without her used to be painful. Now it feels like a fresh start, a chance to be better, to love differently, to show up in ways he didn't before. The past isn't something to run from anymore. It's just a chapter that ended, making space for whatever comes next. And this time, he's ready for it. One day, the weight isn't as heavy. The thoughts still come, but they don't stay as long. The past doesn't disappear, but it stops controlling the present. There's no exact moment when it happened, just a slow shift, a quiet realization that life is moving forward, whether or not he's ready. And maybe for the first time, he is. The urge to check in on her fades. The questions about where she is and what she's doing don't matter the way they used to. The need to prove something, to fix what was broken, is replaced by something else: acceptance, not just of the breakup, but of everything that led to it. The mistakes, the lessons, the things that can't be changed. Fighting against reality took too much energy. Letting go is the only thing left to do. New routines start to form. At first, it feels forced: going to the gym, focusing on work, spending time with friends, but eventually these things become more than just distractions. They become his life, and instead of trying to fill the space she left behind, he starts creating something new. The emptiness that once felt unbearable now feels like an open road, full of possibilities he couldn't see before. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. She was important. What they had was real. But not every love story is meant to last forever. Some people come into life to teach something, to change something, to leave a mark that never fully fades, and that's okay. Growth comes from loss just as much as it comes from love. The idea of a future without her used to be painful. Now it feels like a fresh start, a chance to be better, to love differently, to show up in ways he didn't before. The past isn't something to run from anymore. It's just a chapter that ended, making space for whatever comes next. And this time, he's ready for it. Growth isn't always easy. It comes with discomfort, with painful realizations, with moments of doubt. But with time, things start making sense. The hurt doesn't last forever. The questions stop feeling so urgent. And one day, looking back doesn't bring pain, it just brings clarity. Every loss, every mistake, every lesson leads to something greater. It's not about getting over someone. It's about becoming the person who no longer feels lost without them. Life keeps moving, even when it feels like everything has stopped. New opportunities appear, new connections form, and eventually, what once felt impossible becomes just another part of the journey. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means making peace with the past and stepping into the future with open hands instead of clenched fists. If this video helped you see things differently, make sure to hit the like button. It might be a small action, but it tells us to keep making more content like this. And if you're ready for more insights that can change the way you think and grow, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. There's always more to learn, and we're here to help you through it.